Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and completely dismantle everything you thought you knew about your own intelligence. Most of us go through life looking at IQ like it's your eye color or your height, just this static, fixed number handed to you the moment you were born. But today, we're digging into the raw clinical psychology behind cognitive optimization. And honestly, what the latest research shows is deeply fascinating. Your brain is incredibly malleable. It doesn't just sit there. It physically adapts and rewires its own architecture based entirely on how you use it every single day.
So the crucial point here is that we need to utterly shatter this misconception that you are stuck with the brain you were born with. The myth of the fixed IQ isn't just outdated, it's actively holding people back. Think of your brain much less like a hard drive with a strict storage limit, and much more like a highly responsive muscle. The reality is that your daily habits, your morning routines, and the exact way you process information are literally rewiring your neural pathways. Every single day, you're either reinforcing strong, complex cognitive pathways, or, well, you're letting them atrophy.
This brings us to a really foundational concept in psychology, neuroplasticity. Basically, this is the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout your life. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. It is a massive double-edged sword. The exact same biological mechanism that allows you to learn a new language or master an instrument is the exact same mechanism currently making you slower and more distracted if you aren't careful. Neuroplasticity doesn't care if a habit is good or bad. It just wires in whatever you do most often. So if you spend hours a day training your brain to be distracted, it will absolutely master the art of distraction.
Let's move into Section 1, Active Self-Sabotage, the Toxic Habits Destroying IQ. Here is a rapid-fire breakdown of the 7 daily habits that clinical psychology identifies as active, severe threats to your cognitive development. And what's truly concerning here is how completely normalized these behaviors have become. We live in a world meticulously designed to hijack our attention. From endlessly consuming short-form content to chronic digital sleep neglect, these aren't just minor guilty pleasures anymore. They are actual psychological weights that actively drag down your mental endurance. Understanding these 7 traps is absolutely crucial if you want to reclaim your mental clarity.
Let's look closer at the first one. When you spend hours endlessly scrolling through 15-second videos, you're subjecting yourself to a phenomenon known as attention fragmentation. Think about how it feels when you try to sit down and read a long, complex article, but you instantly get this itchy urge to check your phone after just 2 paragraphs. That is attention fragmentation in real time. You are physically rewiring your brain to reject complex, deep processing. You're essentially teaching your neural networks that they don't need to hold on to any piece of information for more than a few seconds, which severely weakens your working memory over time.
And then there's cognitive offloading. Relying constantly on your smartphone doesn't just save you a few seconds of thinking, it literally causes your internal mental database to wither. Think about it. 20 years ago, you probably memorized the phone numbers of all your close friends and family, right? Today, you might struggle to remember your own partner's number. When your brain realizes that a digital device is perfectly capable of remembering directions, facts, and schedules, it decides that the biological energy required for internal memory is just a waste. So it simply stops trying to remember. Your brain becomes whatever you train it to be. This simple statement captures the absolute core of neuroplasticity. Every single time you give in to the urge for constant, instant gratification, like checking a notification the literal second it pings, you aren't just relaxing. You are actively training your brain to lose its focus. It's a fascinating, if slightly terrifying, psychological reality. By constantly chasing those endless dopamine bursts, you're eroding your own patience and diminishing your ability to tolerate the short-term discomfort that is absolutely required for true intellectual growth.
This tendency to seek the absolute easiest route leads us to something called cognitive miserliness. Basically, this is the brain's natural biological desire to save energy whenever possible. It's lazy. But just like a physical muscle, if you never introduce resistance, it's going to atrophy. When you hit a roadblock and immediately reach for a search engine instead of trying to figure it out logically, you are completely bypassing the struggle required for mental growth.
Now let's unpack 2 massive cognitive drains that almost always go hand in hand: pathological multitasking and digital validation. First off, multitasking is a complete cognitive lie. The human brain cannot actively process multiple complex tasks simultaneously. It just can't. When you try, you're just forcing your brain to rapidly switch gears back and forth, which aggressively drains your mental energy. Add digital validation to the mix, and it gets worse. The constant wait for social media likes or messages floods your system with cortisol, the stress hormone. This creates a high-anxiety environment in your brain where deep learning becomes chemically near impossible. There's also this really dangerous trend of bragging about late-night scrolling or operating on almost zero sleep. Neurologically speaking, this is pure self-sabotage. While you sleep, your brain is not just turning off, it is actively performing critical maintenance. Your brain's lymphatic system kicks in to literally wash away the metabolic waste built up during the day. If you chronically neglect sleep to stare at a screen, this cleaning process just stops. Your brain is forced to function as if it's mildly intoxicated the next day. And over time, this leads to a permanent drop in your cognitive performance.
Now that we've covered the destruction, let's pivot to Section 2, the reality of genius. What are the subtle signs of high IQ?
Real genius isn't about sounding smart. It's about making others feel smart while you quietly process reality in layers. We really need to completely dispel that popular trope of the loud, chaotic, jargon-spewing genius. Society loves to reward the loudest person in the room, right? But true high intelligence is fundamentally different. The smartest person in the room is rarely the loudest. High intelligence is actually about possessing internal clarity, patience, and the ability to quietly observe and process reality at a much deeper, much more nuanced level.
Which brings us to an absolute superpower of the highly intelligent: metacognition. Put simply, this is thinking about your own thinking. Instead of rushing to blurt out an opinion, high IQ individuals use metacognition to internally verbalize and filter their ideas first. It's active mental editing. If someone presents a controversial argument, instead of immediately reacting emotionally, a highly intelligent person pauses. They monitor their own biases, double-check the logic of their counter-argument, and catch their own logical fallacies before the words ever leave their mouth. It is the ultimate form of intellectual self-control.
And this level of self-awareness extends directly into how highly intelligent people structure their entire day. It's a massive paradigm shift. Average minds usually try to manage their time by rigidly scheduling every single hour, just cramming in tasks. But high IQ minds, they focus on managing their energy, not just their time. They recognize that true intelligence flows with natural cognitive rhythms. They know exactly when their mental peaks occur, and they fiercely protect those specific windows for complex work.
This process is known as tactical simplification. People who are simply trying to appear smart often hide behind huge words and industry jargon to mask a shallow understanding. But real intellect does the exact opposite. A truly intelligent person will first master a complex concept so thoroughly that they see its absolute core. Then, they translate that complexity into clear, accessible language, delivering it in a way that makes the listener feel smart and included. They pull people up to their level instead of talking down to them.
To outsiders, this next habit might just look like someone quietly daydreaming, but it is actually advanced predictive processing. Highly intelligent people often run incredibly detailed internal social simulations. They'll imagine a future interaction, predict exactly what the other person is likely to say based on past behavior, and play out multiple different responses in their mind. This isn't overthinking, it's a massive strategic advantage. It means that when the conversation actually happens, they remain totally calm and adapt seamlessly, simply because they've already mapped out the whole shebang. This brilliantly illustrates how high IQ minds perceive the world differently. When we compare linear thinking to multi-layered cognition, the contrast is stark. Linear thinkers get stuck on a single perspective. They just listen to the words being said and see events in isolation. Multi-layered thinkers operate on a totally different plane. They hold multiple perspectives simultaneously. They aren't just listening to words. They're tracking logical inconsistencies and reading the invisible systems connecting everything together.
Let's move right into Section 3, the intervention. How do we overcome low cognitive flexibility? Listen to this. Changing your opinion isn't a weakness. It is intelligence in action. Refusing to adapt when you're presented with new, factually correct evidence is a brutal sign of low cognitive flexibility. It's a trap that keeps most people permanently stuck at a reactive, defensive level of thinking. If your underlying beliefs can't evolve, neither can you. The absolute highest level of intelligence isn't about knowing everything perfectly right away. It's the willingness to completely update your understanding of the world when new, valid information presents itself.
So to truly optimize your mind moving forward, you have to embrace the concept of growth through subtraction. We are constantly sold the idea that we need to add more productivity apps, more life hacks, more information. But real growth begins with elimination. You have to stop trying to add new cognitive hacks and start eliminating the toxic mental weights holding you back. Radically reduce the short-form content. Strip away the digital noise so your brain can finally breathe. Silence is power. It's in that quiet space that your deep focus finally returns.
I want to leave you with this final uncomfortable reality to chew on today. Are you using your mind, or is your technology using you? We've explored how neuroplasticity can either build an absolute fortress of a mind or slowly dismantle it through cheap digital habits. But the incredible news here is that the choice of how you wire your brain moving forward is entirely yours. The damage isn't permanent if you take action now. Keep reflecting on your habits, keep challenging your own mind, and start taking back intentional control of your boundless cognitive potential.